I'm kind of dreading reaching this point in the Year of FDS. That's because I've hit a giant block of re-releases. Games that were released to the Famicom early on in its life, and are now being offered for sale through the Disk Writer kiosk. Basically, vending machines in stores that you could take your disk system floppies to, and for a 500 yen fee, have new games put on them. Bomberman marks Hudson Soft's only disk system release, though my personal and totally unprovable theory is that for most of these re-releases, it's really Nintendo that was the publisher. One of my biggest pieces of circumstantial evidence to that is this block of 1990 games where multiple publishers seem to have coordinated their releases around Nintendo's schedule. You'll notice that we'll have a full year with no giant release gaps. Okay, some months will only have one game, but they were trying to pace things. Which brings me back to Bomberman. The Famicom version was released in 1985, and they haven't changed a thing for the Famicom Disk System release. They didn't even bother updating the copyright information. Bomberman was originally a computer game, and when they ported it to the Famicom, they made quite a few changes from this original version. The concept behind the game is that you are Bomberman, and you want to kill all of the monsters on every stage, and then exit through the door. Your only weapon is a gun. No, it's bombs. Of course it's bombs. Hitting the A button will drop a bomb at your feet, and after a few seconds it explodes. This will kill anything caught in the explosion, including yourself, as well as destroy bricks that are placed around the grid. The general structure of every stage is exactly the same. A grid pattern of pylons that's a few screens wide. Those pylons are indestructible, but randomly scattered every time you start a level are a bunch of bricks in between them, and that's what you can blow up. Initially, you can only drop one bomb at a time, and the explosion is puny. But as you progress, you'll find power-ups to increase the size of the explosion, and let you drop more bombs, plus give you some other abilities. There's only one power-up per stage, and these are predefined in every one of the 50 stages in Bomberman. There's always an explosion power-up on stage 3, for example. What this comes down to is on every level, you're going to blow up all of the monsters, and then hunt for the door and the power-up. You're on a timer, so you will have to hurry a little bit. This is a problem initially when your explosions are tiny and you can only drop one bomb at a time, so you'll struggle to search the full maze. In fact, you'll have a hard time finding the exit door before time runs out. But as you collect power-ups, you'll get stronger, more capable, and you'll be able to progress a lot faster. You don't lose explosive power or the quantity of bombs you can drop when you die, but you do lose any other special power-ups. All it takes is one touch from an enemy to kill you, or far more likely, getting caught in your own explosion. Other power-ups that you can find will let you walk through your own bombs, so you can't get yourself stuck behind them, walk through the walls of the maze, so that you have an easier time navigating, and provides a remote detonator for the bombs, so they won't explode until you press the B button. If time runs out, then the maze fills up with another set of monsters that are much more aggressive than the initial ones, and these same monsters will appear if you accidentally blow up the door. The monsters themselves are not the brightest crew. Most of them just walk back and forth. A few of them might actively try to follow you for a little bit, and there's also a few that can walk through walls. That's about as dynamic as they get, though. Every 5 stages there's a bonus stage where you're indestructible, and all you're trying to do is blow up as many enemies as you can. You earn an extra life every time you clear a stage, and unless you're completely clumsy, you're going to rack those up really fast. So again, once you're powered up a little bit, your life becomes much easier since you'll just keep earning piles of extra lives. There is a continue function, but I don't see why you'd ever need it. Because Bomberman for the Famicom was released in 1985, there's also hidden conditions to reveal extra points. These are wildly obscure, and unless you were following a guide, you'd never figure it out. Maybe the best thing known about this version of Bomberman is the ending in which you're informed that Bomberman has become Load Runner. Bomberman in this game was a reused robot sprite from Hudson's version of Load Runner, so they decided to tie the games together that way. Something that you'll quickly notice about this version of Bomberman is that there's no competitive mode. You know, the thing that defines most of the other 100 games in the Bomberman series. Well, Bomberman on the Famicom in 1985 didn't have that, so it's also not here in this re-release. However, 4 months after this game, Hudson released Bomber Boy, a Bomberman game for the Game Boy that included a versus mode. And then 6 months after this re-release, there was Bomberman for the PC Engine, a ground-up rewrite of the game that basically implemented all of the modern Bomberman features. Given development timelines in the 1990s, it seems very likely that when somebody said, well, I guess we could put Bomberman on a disc, that it set some gears turning at Hudson headquarters, and they decided to go back to that design and improve on it. Hudson let Bomberman sit around for 5 years, and then right after this re-release, they started making new Bomberman games. And those are the Bomberman games that set the template for Bomberman that we know and love. What I'm saying is, even though this re-release was a disaster and didn't make any money, because nothing on the Famicom Disk System made any money at this point, it is very likely that it's responsible for the Bomberman series. Bomberman is a beloved classic in Japan, of course. One of those games that came out at the peak of the Famicom boom, and got a lot of attention for its distinctive concept. My feeling is that decades later, it's a bit of a hard sell. If you want to play Bomberman, this isn't the Bomberman you're looking for. And the action's just kind of okay. I'm not going to say it's an awful game, but you'd probably be happier skipping ahead to the PC Engine or Super Famicom games instead.